Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Trisha Petito. This is the third week of our series called 12 Weeks of Christmas. This week we're doing a fancy folk card with the Holly and Ivy papers from the September and October seasonal catalog. As you can see, this is beautiful paper. We'll be creating with this stamp set, the Holly and Ivy card making stamp set in thin cuts. I chose this particular stamp set because of this Santa right here and all of his beautiful details. I also liked all the sentiments because you could use them on the inside of the card. This Santa has a lot of details, and I specifically liked all of his buttons, his belt, and his boots because we'll be utilizing them for our heat embossing that I will be showing you. This is the September and October catalog that I'm getting the papers and the stamp set out of. So we'll be taking a standard base A2 card size, which is 8.5 by 5.5 in size. Mine is already pre-scored, but if you wanted to cut it out of regular cardstock, you could. I'm taking a boning folder and making sure my scoring is nice and even. I'm going to take the front of the card and go ahead and score it one more time so it's in half. That's a little bit over 2 inches. I'm going to go ahead and show you that measurement on my Versamat here. So you can see it's just a little bit over 2 inches. It's between the 2 and 2 1/4 mark. I go over it a couple more times with my boning folder on all of the score marks. Now when I take all of my papers out, I decide on cutting some brown cardstock as well as these particular papers from the Holly and Ivy papers. All I did was look at the areas that I wanted to have the papers on. I measured them and I cut the papers 1/4 of an inch smaller. I don't have those exact measurements for you. Just decide where you want your pretty papers at and cut them 1/4 of an inch smaller. I cut the cardstock first and then I cut the pretty papers 1/4 of an inch smaller than them. As you see, I'm checking my cardstock. Please remember that the Close to My Heart cardstock, if you're using it, is one tone on the one side and a one tone that is slightly lighter on the other. I like to make sure mine match on both sides of my card. I picked coordinating pretty pattern paper for both sides of my card. I like that they matched. They look similar, but they were different. When you open up the card, there's an area that is blank for my writing on my card or any sentiments. To save time for this video, I went ahead and stamped my Santa and colored him so he was ready to go. So this is the end result and what he looks like. I did use all of my tri-blend markers, so he was a nice bright Santa. But I am going to show you how I did the heat embossing. So I used items from the core catalog, which are on page 79. These are the heat embossing tools that we have. These items over here are very often overlooked. They are the Embossing Ink Pens. So it's very common that when you go to heat emboss, you dump all the embossing powder over the entire image and you heat emboss the whole thing. These particular pens allow you to emboss just certain areas of your image, and that's what we're going to do today. These are the 3 pens. As you see, they have different tips. I'm going to use this one that has the very fine tip because we're doing buttons and buckles, which are very, very small on the image. So I'm going to take this and I'm only going to fill in the buttons on his jacket, his belt on his waist. As you see, I'm kind of like coloring it with the Versa watermark areas if you want that I'm wanting the embossing powder to fill in. I'm also doing the cord that's coming down his jacket. And then at the bottom on his boots, I'm going to also do his buckles on his boots. So these, as you can see, are very, very fine little areas, but I thought how neat would it look to have embossing powder and that beautiful shiny areas standing out instead of just a regular colored in area. I'm redoing the little tiny buttons just to make sure that they have that ink on them. And then I'm going to go and do what you would normally do to heat emboss. I'm going to cover those areas with lots and lots of powder. I am doing it in a tray so that way I don't waste and I don't make a mess. It doesn't matter what tray you use. This one works for me. I'm going to cover it up so that I don't accidentally spill it. Take my little tweezers and shake off all the excess. Tap the back, make sure no excess is on there. And there you go. Now you're going to take your heating tool. This is a craft heating tool you can buy from many areas and start going over it with heat. Now this does take time. I do it to the back so you don't burn your paper. Now it is hard to see in the video, but watch his left boot, you'll see, and now his right boot, you'll see it go from a dark gray to a bright shiny silver. You watch it very closely, you should see the change. Oh, there it goes. Now watch his lower bottom button on his coat. You should see it change. Oh, there it goes. Now look at above his hand, the cord above his hand. It's dark. And there it goes, converts to a bright shiny. So the whole thing is done. I'm going to turn off my heating tool. So when I first started, everything was a dark, dark gray. And now I'm going to turn it in the light. Hopefully you can see that embossing powder is now a bright, shiny silver color. Those areas were white when I started with the pen, and now they went from a dark silver to the bright, shiny, and embossing look. Just gives that amazing, neat, embellished look. So our Santa is done. You could have done this with any color embossing powder. I just had the silver handy. I thought it would be beautiful. It would look gorgeous with bronze, with gold, anything that you had at home. We're going to put this on the front of our card, being very careful where we put our glue. I don't want it to seal our card shut, so I'm only doing it on the left side of the Santa. So I'm going to place him where I want him. Glue is only on the left side. Let's double check it, make sure there's no glue on the right, sealing it shut. And then just to have a couple little bit more embellishments, we're going to use these silver glitter gems that'll match our silver that's on our Santa. If you had done some gold embossing powder, you could have put gold gems on there, or bronze, you could have done bronze gems, whatever matches and you like the looks of. Now, a lot of people have a problem getting these off the transfer sheet. Do not pick them off. That will have a tendency to make them go flying across the rooms. I give them a little push. I use a sharp tool like my tweezers here or my scissors. Slide them across your transfer sheet right where you want them. The transfer sheets are clear, so it makes it very easy to see where you want them to go. And look how easy that was without them flying across the room or getting stuck to where you don't want them. Give them a little push, slide them right where you want them. Oops, that one went a little far, so we're going to use our tweezers to put them where they want. It's very easy to want to try to pick them off, and like I said, they'll go flying across the room, or you'll actually pick the adhesive off the back of it, and you don't want that either. You want to be able to use every single one of your pretty gems. So I had two different size gems. I wanted to use the big ones and the little ones here. So we placed them both on the card here and got them where we want them. There we go. Love how that looks. Perfect. Look how beautiful that is. That's our end card. Plenty of room in the middle for a nice sentiment and a handwritten note to whoever we're sending this card for. I hope you were inspired by today's card. I appreciate you stopping by and spending time with me. Because you were with me, I hope this was a wonderful another card to your collection. Be sure you hit that subscribe button and join me next week for the video in my 12 Weeks of Christmas series. Bye.